Hello, welcome to this month's orientation session. I was just doing a little last minute prep behind the scenes. The laundry machine is about to start squealing, so apologies if it overrides what's happening. Welcome to today's session. This is the orientation session here for the month of April in the Good Food Network. I have questions for you. This whole session has two parts to explore. The first one is to explore if what it is we have in the Good Food Network is something that will be applicable to you and something you might want to dive into and come join us in diving into these topics. The second part of this is to give you a bit of a behind the scenes look so that you can see what we're doing in the Good Food Network to see if it's what you thought it was and how to navigate it once you come join us. That's my goal. So hi, I'm Luca. I'm your holistic nutrition gal, drinking a little green tea today in celebration of the spring energies that are coming up all around us. Glad to be here with you. Glad you're tuning in to today's session. So I've got questions for you. I'm going to go through some questions here, and I want you to grab a piece of paper and a pen. And I want you to put down a check mark every time you hear one of these symptoms, and it's something you've got going on as you're moving through this perimenopause or into the postmenopausal stage as well. And we'll talk about how the symptoms, well, before I get into this, the symptoms you have going into perimenopause, moving through perimenopause into that transitional time can tell us a lot about what's going on behind the scenes. So if you had any of these symptoms going on in that transition phase, I like to think of it as, then know that your body's asking for help. And that's everything that we do in the Good Food Network. So let me ask you the top 10 ways to know if your body is struggling through perimenopause into menopause. And how many of these do you say yes to? Number 1, night sweats, hot flashes. Number 2, mood swings, anxiety, or feeling low. Do you have these? Yeah, put a check mark down. I see that very commonly. And in fact, I'll tell you a story in a minute. Number 3, troubles with sleep. Do you have insomnia? Do you have the feeling of not being rested when you wake up? Do you wake up in the middle of the night where you're always waking up to go pee 3 or 4 times, whether you're able to fall back asleep easily or it takes some work? Number 4, do you struggle with brain fog? Or do you have a hard time concentrating? Is there cognitive stuff and brain kind of piecing together things that's a bit trickier than it used to be? Your body's talking to you. Yes, she is. Number 5, do you have histamine issues ramping up? Do you have new symptoms that start, or do you see a worsening of symptoms? Number 6, do you handle or do you find you have trouble handling stress like you used to? Your resiliency is off, or it takes you longer to bounce back from something, or you're quicker to jump to the kind of response in the body when somebody asks you something. Stop asking questions. Yeah. Number 7, do you have short temper or a lack of patience? Are you quick to want to punch someone in the throat? I am. Yeah. Number 8, is your hair thinning or do you find you're shedding more than you used to? I had a client where she would say, oh, it's wonderful. I actually don't need to shave my legs anymore. It's kind of nice. It's one less thing I have to do for myself, because her hair was thinning so much. Well, yeah, I get it. But also, ooh, something's going on here. Yeah. Number 9, do you have weight changes, especially that muffin top? Okay. No fretting. I'm not here to shame anyone with a muffin top because I have the best one in town, but it's an indicator that there is some struggle going on in the body somewhere. Number 10, skin changes. This one creeps up on you, and then all of a sudden you're like, what? Dryness, sensitivity, hives, acne, new breakouts. Other skin issues could be cracked heels, or the flakiness or eczema or psoriasis showing up. Now, while all of these are indicating a little bit something different going on behind the scenes, these symptoms tend to ramp up in this perimenopause stage of life. So before I go in and give you some more symptoms, because that's not the only 10, there's a bunch more. Eyesight changes is one of the ones I'm struggling with right now, where your eyesight drastically changes very, very quickly. That can be an indicator of some things going on. We are all a work in progress. But before I go into more symptoms, I want to share a little bit of a story, my story actually. So the age of in my late 30s, I had symptoms already leading up to my late 30s. And there were some mental health struggles throughout my young adult life. While I felt I was a little bit better equipped, I was still struggling with a lot of anxiety, as a matter of fact, into my late 30s. And then as the age of 40 came around, then I started to have some other things start to show up. What I now realize were histamine issues totally were taking over my day-to-day life. And they were starting to ask to be recognized and were really making themselves known. I had diarrhea, explosive diarrhea that would come and go. I had migraines that would come and go, where I was having at least one a month. I was having the pins and needles feelings in my hands. I was feeling acid reflux. I had H. pylori tests to try to figure out what was going on. There's a lot of other symptoms going on. The urge to pee, eczema was ramping up again, and on and on and on. Like, there's just so many symptoms. I can't even remember them all because I try not to hang on to them as a badge of honor. It's a terrible thing to say, Luca, but also I just think it's a transient thing. So those histamine symptoms were really starting to ramp up in my early 40s. And it wasn't until I was putting together the content for what we're doing in the GoodFood Network that it occurred to me that all of my symptoms that were ramping up into my 30s and into my early mid 40s, they were all as a result of perimenopause. And it was the hormonal shifts that come with perimenopause that were shining a light and drawing my attention to where it was my body was asking for help. And as I addressed those issues in my 40s, where I really worked at improving gut health, reducing inflammation, those were my first two ways in. Then I figured out the histamine piece to it and started to really address that. And then got super deep into the blood sugar balancing piece, and I'm still in it. And now really realizing the role that metabolic health plays. This is my life story. Coming into my 40s was the wake up call that I didn't know that I needed. And at the time, I was super peeved and coming at it from a point of view that my body's working against me and that I'm the person that has all of those problems. Oh, God, it's always me. Ugh, when do I get relief? Why does it have to be me? Woe is me. I had all of those feelings, and I think they're 100% valid. But I got to tell you, in my mid 40s, unbeknownst that I was actually addressing my perimenopause, I addressed it through other routes. And I slowly started to see a bit of improvement, a bit of improvement. And it's been so slow moving and slow growing that now at the age of 52, I'm looking back and I realize I actually feel better at 52 than I ever did at 42. So if you find yourself saying yes to any of the symptoms because you're in perimenopause, because you're realizing your symptoms are actually coming to the surface just given that you're in perimenopause, but it's a bunch of other stuff that's going on, or whether you had symptoms through that perimenopause shift. Now you find yourself postmenopausal and you're realizing, oh, shoot, I had a lot of hard times in that shift. It's never too late to put some pieces in place to support the body in doing what it is that she wants to do. I'll tell you this, first and foremost, there's two big truths that I really hang on to. First of all, your body will prioritize the stress response before anything else. And that comes from a deep place of love. Your body needs you to survive the current moment, because if you don't survive the current moment by turning on that stress response and activating all of those get yourself out of trouble's way kind of things that we have biochemically in the body, if you don't activate those, you're not going to survive. So the stress response and the body prioritizing the stress response before it prioritizes anything else, making babies, having enough hormones that you want to dance with your partner, having enough hormones to regulate your thyroid so that you can actually also now actively work at balancing your mood. Doesn't matter. Don't need to balance mood if you're dead. So we need to get you out of harm's way first. We're going to prioritize the stress response. And that, when you start to see it as a beacon of the body doing what it wants to keep you alive, that starts planting that seed of hope. And as you start to realize, okay, if the body prioritizes the stress response, I can choose to jump on the stress response, or I can actively put some of these ideas in place to help calm that stress reaction in my body. There's a lot we can do through food. I love food because of the way it can come in and really help you through a stress response and nourish you enough to turn it off, as a matter of fact. When we start to do that work, now we're doing the work of having an easier time through perimenopause. Luca, I've already gone through it. I had a hard time. It was difficult. I hated it. Now I'm on the other side. I'm so grateful. Yeah, honey, if you had a hard time through it, it's because you had inflammation or histamine or burden of stress or adrenals tuckered out or liver overburdened or gut health going on or mood balancing or thyroid struggles or metabolic health issues. It doesn't matter. One more of these things, combination, who knows? That's still there. It's still there. And I really, truly think perimenopause is a brilliant gift for us to expose what it is we need to work on. It's like the curtain of Oz is pulled back, and there's our little body standing on top of a ladder trying to make ends meet and having a really difficult time. What does the body need to support an easier transition through perimenopause is the same work of reducing inflammation. So if you had troubles through perimenopause and are now into that menopausal years, and you're now finding yourself, oh, I did actually have those things. Do I still need to work on perimenopause things, Luca? Well, lucky you, in the month of April in the network, we're actually shifting a little bit more towards how to nourish you post menopause. The first month was that transition time and helping you identify so that you could know what it is potentially that's contributing to your own symptoms. But the second part and the whole of April, we're now getting into how to take care of your bodacious bod as you swing into part two of life. And may the swing into part two of life be a gentle swing that feels manageable and doable and not too rocky of a swing. That's our goal in the Good Food Network. Let me go through more symptoms, okay? And then I've got a presentation for you today. I usually talk, but it's boring to hear me talk. So I'm going to show you things instead because it's pretty. And I did it for the network. Why wouldn't I share it with people here on the free thing? Okay, here's some of the other symptoms. What of these symptoms do you struggle with? And are you in the age of 39 to 55? Or did you have these when you were in that age range? Then we need to dive deeper and see what's going on in the body. Or we don't have to. It's an invitation if you're curious to know. Do you feel wired and tired where you cannot sleep but you're exhausted? Or I like to call it the seventh wind. Do you come up with all the plans on how to save the world at the end of the day once all the chores are done? And now you could probably start to take up a craft and you could probably come up with all the things that's so exciting. Yeah? Is that you? Do you have muscles or joint aches? Mm-hmm. Do you have blood sugar fluctuations and cravings? While those we wouldn't necessarily identify it as a perimenopausal shift because of the hormonal shift in that stage of life, we actually, if you had it underlying beforehand, it's exacerbated exacerbated and sort of comes to the forefront in this shift. Yeah. So if you find you've got cravings for sweets, if you're the person who cannot pass the table of sweets at work, or if you're the person who needs to have a chocolate bar, I totally had the Mars bar in my desk at work, it was the only way I could get through work. Or if you find yourself needing to snack mid-afternoon between meals, we need to do some work on deep nutrition and balancing your blood sugars. Yeah. Other symptoms you may not identify with. Do you have facial hair growth? I don't know anyone my age who doesn't have a set of tweezers somewhere to pull those black chin hairs. Yep. Do you have an increase in UTIs? That can absolutely show up postmenopausal more than anything, actually. Do you have a change in digestion where you're more bloated, or now you have a tendency towards constipation, or that you have sluggish metabolism? Luca, I still don't know what metabolism means. Do you have low energy? And has that energy been steadily declining through the perimenopausal shift? and now postmenopausal or in menopause. I feel like menopause is like one hot second, and you either have before or after. And in the 1 second, I'll tell you, it's the 1 second where it's 12 months to the day of when you last had your last period. Yeah. So it's like a hot second, right? Yeah. Other things, heart palpitations is another symptom. I'm actually getting that one a little bit more right now. Blood pressure shifts. Do you have a tendency towards low blood pressure or do you have a tendency towards high blood pressure? Both can tell us different mechanisms that are struggling behind the scenes. Do you have a loss of muscle tone or difficulty maintaining strength? Yeah. Does the body start to sag? Oh, that's just a nice way to see them sagging. We're softening. We're softening and we're supposed to soften. And there's nothing wrong with softening. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of loss of muscle tone. A lot of people will say, oh no, you got to keep active. You got to keep, yeah. I'm not going to lie. I think it's important to keep active. I think it's important, and your muscles are your insurance policy as you get into the postmenopausal years. But let's not make it something that is a diagnosable disease problem, something you need to fix. No, you're supposed to be soft. Grandmas are soft. Mhm. What are some of the other symptoms? Ah, yeah, vaginal dryness or discomfort. Saliva, a lessening of saliva. That's like quite postmenopausal and can start to show up in your 70s. I have quite a few clients actually who struggle with that. And of course, lowered libido. Lowered libido makes all the sense in the world. You're not broken. It's actually a natural occurrence that happens due to the fluctuation of hormones and the shift of things that happen in this transition phase. So, and part of that is to naturally, our reproductive years are behind us. And so the libido is naturally supposed to be lower. If it's low and it's impacting your relationship, then let's talk about it. If it's where you want it and you're happy with it, excellent. Not everyone is going to see it as a problem. Not everyone wants a really high libido. Some people may also see an increase in libido as they move into the perimenopausal stage, at which point then we need to look at histamine issues, actually, which is so interesting to me. Yeah. So lots of things. There's one last one I wanted to draw your attention to. I looked it up today to see what it's called. It's called formication. Formication. Such a funny word. Do you want to know what it means? So if you know that ants, the little bug, ants in French is fourmi, formication. Do you get the sensation of ants or insects crawling on your skin into menopause? Right? I get this, and I get it right here, always at the same spot, and it's always on this arm. So the feeling of insects crawling on your skin, kind of sporadically coming and going, sometimes they're mostly not, and then what? I got something, right? Do you have formication as one of your symptoms going on? It is due to the fluctuation of estrogen and the impact that has on your nerve function. God, it's amazing. Yeah. Those are some of the more common symptoms and the lesser common symptoms of some of the way that our body, well, these symptoms, the first 10 I talked about, and formication and all the other ones. All of these symptoms are just telling us that your body is shifting in hormones and is transitioning to what comes next. And part of what's happening in the transition through perimenopause is that you have estrogen and progesterone usually doing sort of this kind of dance in your fertile years. And as life happens and you start to get closer to 40, progesterone naturally starts to decline over time, and estrogen gets erratic. And it eventually declines, but it sort of goes up and down as it's coming down. And it's the decline of progesterone that impacts things, and it's the erraticness of estrogen that now struggles. There's also testosterone shifts, cortisol shifts, insulin shifts as well. There's a lot of other hormones that shift in this perimenopausal stage that can drive your symptoms. And depending on what your actual symptoms are, we can tell what is particularly struggling in your body. So I want to go and share my screen right now. Give me a second. So, in the month of April, in the Good Food Network, we are diving into perimenopause and menopause this month because let's be real, no one hands us a roadmap for this transition. So, what's going on in menopause? The years can feel like a roller coaster. There's changes in the hormones going on. It impacts so many different things from our mood to our metabolism to our sleep, to our digestion, to our energy levels, to our libido, of course, and to so many other little wiggly niggly things that start to add up and start to make it a little bit trickier to get through our days. However, I will say when we have this going on through this transitional phase in life, I think it is nature's way to get us to start addressing what is going on below the surface, which I think is awesome. So in the network, some of the content that we cover, we explore how nutrition and how lifestyle choices can really help to support your body through this shift. We are looking with all of the to-do pieces because every session we've got has a potential to-do action item for you to do. There's a worksheet that you get. The worksheet helps you go through some of that stuff too. But as you are going through the network, we're exploring how nutrition and your lifestyle choices can support your body through this transition phase. We help smooth out the rough edges. We help you keep feeling strong and steady and resilient for part 2 of life. Because toots, we need you. We need every single human that's on the planet right now to help us with what is coming. And part 2 of life and the menopausal woman is going to be a massive part of what is shifting in this world and what it is that we're creating. And we need all of the voices, the youth, the elders, the mothers, and the fathers. And we as women moving through this shift are part of the elders, and it's important for us to stand up, to be strong and steady and resilient because we have a part to play in this. So in some of the content that we're exploring, this is a bit of our approach through the month of April. So when there's something troublesome or something that we're having troubles with through this transition or just past the transition, these hormonal shifts have the potential of impacting so many different things. They can impact our metabolism and our thyroid health. And this is where you're going to see some shifts in energy levels. You're going to see some shifts in weight. You're going to see some shifts in blood sugars. The shifts in perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause also now impact our brain and our mood health, right? I feel this one quite keenly. So our focus, our clarity, our emotional resilience, our reaction to things, our feeling steady doesn't feel so steady anymore. And sometimes we feel like we're reacting a little bit sooner than we used to, or we're feeling more emotional. Yes, you are. You sure are. You're not broken. No, you are exactly how you're supposed to be. You're designed brilliantly. Good work, you. It's to help us move up and become an elder. So we speak up and we help what needs help. Yeah. There's also other things that are impacted is your cardiovascular health. So our blood pressure can be shifting so much through this season of life. Our cholesterol numbers absolutely do shift in this season for good reason. They're supposed to, they're protective for many different reasons. If the ratio is off, that's actually where more of the issue lies. I've got lots of classes on that. If you have questions on cholesterol, hit me up. It is one of the things that we see rise in the postmenopausal woman. And it's been shown that it is actually protective, protective for brain, protective to keep our cognitive health, protective against the development of cancers, and protective against, in particular, breast cancer. Yeah. Anyway. We also have an impact on blood circulation and the development of atherosclerosis, those plaques that potentially build up to stunt the blood flow and the circulation of our blood in our body. Now, of course, as we shift in this transition, our bone health is impacted. Yeah, the changing balance of estrogen and progesterone has a really big sway on our bone density, which is fascinating. And also perimenopause and menopause actually impact our inflammation and our immune function. Mm-hmm. So this is where it can drive symptoms like joint pain, headaches, fatigue, but we can also see an increase in histamine issues, in autoimmune disorders and the symptoms associated with autoimmunity. So there's quite a few potential things that below the surface, now that we're seeing some of those shifts happening in that hormonal thing, what kind of impact is it having? Well, these are just scratching the surface. There's a lot more. I was trying to keep it brief. I struggle with being brief. I'm known for that. So, how do we support this transition? How do we look this sexy on the beach like this lovely sweetheart is? Yeah, I'm going to walk through life with that kind of confidence. Yeah. How do we support you in this transition? So, in the network, rather than pushing through or feeling at the mercy of these changes, because, well, it's just how you are, it's just normal. I saw a skit from the gals who were doing now I can't remember the comedy troupe from Toronto, the all women who were all doing sketch comedy that were so funny. Two of them have gone on to start a new show at CBC, and I saw a clip the other day where one of them goes into the doctor and she's talking about some of the symptoms she's experiencing, which are very much perimenopause. And he says, "Yeah, these are common. They're really normal. You're doing okay. Good work." And didn't offer her any advice, any support, or any type of explanation of what's going on, or didn't seem perturbed and just said, "Thanks for coming in, bye." And she felt so unheard. And I think that's how so many of us have always felt in this stage of life. Absolutely. So rather than pushing through or feeling at the mercy of these changes, part of what we're doing, everything we do in the network actually, is to shift into support mode. And we do that by nourishing your metabolism. We're also going to be talking about your thyroid. And when we do that, now we start to see steady energy. We're balancing blood sugars, we're reducing cravings, and we're going to help address that weight gain piece. I'm not promising weight gain is going to shift, but we're going to help address what is potentially driving the weight gain around the midriff. You're still going to get softer, baby, and you're supposed to. And let's get soft together. We're also going to be addressing and reducing inflammation. And when we do that now, we're supporting bones, joints, brain function. We're also reducing what drives cancer, what drives some of the big diseases, asthma, COPD, thyroid disorders, autoimmune issues, and on it goes. We also, big part of what we're doing this month is to support the nervous system. And when we start to support the nervous system, now we start to see an ease in anxiety. We start to alleviate some of that burden of stress. And when we do that, now we're also supporting sleep. Oh, good Lord, if sleep is not one of the cornerstones we need to work at. Yes, please. And of course, last but not least, we're going to be working with the gut microbiome this month. We're going to be working at enhancing nutrient absorption, reducing bloating, and supporting better digestion. Because when you can start to support a more resilient microbiome, you actually start to reduce what drives some of the more common symptoms like hot flashes and some of that blood sugar stuff that can play havoc on moods and your energy levels and your fatigue levels. So that's everything we're doing in the network. When you join us, where should you start? Well, you're going to join the live conversations. We've got these Thursday morning sessions called Food is Medicine. Those are where I would absolutely start. We've got a series of them. I'll show you exactly where they are in the network. I'll give you a behind the scenes look in just a minute. But joining these live conversations is where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. And if that's the only piece you get into in this network this month, then you're going to be ahead of this game. There's a bunch of extras that I put in there for the people who feel they've already got some of this stuff and they want to dive deeper. So I've set it up for the beginner all the way to the person who's worked with me, to the person who's taken many classes with me or may already know some of the stuff, but now wants to dive a little bit deeper. So you're able to take what it is you need from the smorgasbord, if you will. So we also have a live class this month. The one for this month is called Post-Menopause, Thriving Through the Next Chapter. Very excited about that one. I haven't built it yet. I'm going to scramble on that one tomorrow. But when you join us, the first thing you do, you go find the schedule to find what's happening when and prioritizing what it is you want to see through the month. We've got a monthly checklist. So that checklist helps you prioritize what it is you want to do, clarifies what it is you're going to do, what you're not going to do. And that helps you tune into what is most relevant for you without the overwhelm. And I keep the price low, so you have to do a little bit of work yourself to be a big girl and get to work. Yes. I handhold as much as I can with some of the breadcrumbs I leave for you, but you got to do the work yourself. And also, I'll say it's actually Vitality Liver. That is the 3-hour class we've got. If you're interested in joining us, this is where you'll find it at a really good price. The Vitality Liver class is what we've shifted into for the month of April. Adrenals was for March. Liver is a really big part of shifting through this perimenopausal time. So I wanted to make sure everybody had enough to dive into and sink their teeth into. And the Vitality Liver class, if you want to understand a little bit more of the role of liver in this whole transition, that's where you're going to make your way sometime over the course of April. Yeah, at the root of menopause symptoms is tuckered out adrenals, but I will also say at the root of many of the other symptoms, what is not covered by adrenals is actually the liver. So part of what you do when you come and join us in the network is you take only what you need and you leave what you don't, because the goal is for support and not stress. It gets overwhelming when you first join because you tell yourself you're overwhelmed. Everybody loves to talk about how everyone's overwhelmed all the time. Yeah, we all are. And telling us we're overwhelmed makes us more overwhelmed. What helps reduce the overwhelm? Take only what you need. You're not going to eat everything at the buffet when you go. You're only going to take what you're going to eat and put it on your plate. And it's the same thing with the network. This is about support and not stress. So when you come and join us in the Good Food Network, I hope to see you around it. I'm going to give you a bit of a behind the scenes look for those who are going to be joining us so you can find your way and help you navigate through a little bit easier. But make good use of the things that are in the network. Take only what you need. At the end of it all, part of the magic is to bless it and get on with it. That's what we do in the Good Food Network. Okay, let's turn this off. And now I'm going to take you over. Give me one hot second. I'm going to take you over so you can see what it looks like in the Good Food Network so that you can have a good sense of what you're going to be finding and how to navigate through once you're in the Good Food Network. So let me maximize my screen first. I'm going to take you over. So now we're getting into the behind the scenes piece. So when you join us, it is very easy to get to. You see GF Network. It's the network, Good Food Network, gluten-free network. A friend of mine thought it was. Yeah. You can find it right there. It's also, if you click on programs, it will also be listed there because it's a program. So the Good Food Network subscription is as a program. We're going to maximize our screen, enter full screen. It's a little bit easier to navigate this way, I find. Now you've got a series of modules, and each of the modules has a different piece you can get into. So when you first start, you're going to see here there's sections. There's the Start Here section. This is all of your administrative stuff, if you will. We've got pre-recorded content, so you dive in whenever you want. We've got live sessions, which are happening live, and then the replay is always posted, and then written content. So these are the 3 different parts of the network: pre-recorded stuff, live, and written stuff. And then, of course, the admin stuff. So when you first start, you go to the module called Start Here Kitten. There's a whole 20-minute video that explores what and how best to navigate this, how best to make use of the network. Part of what it takes you through is to get to the schedule and checklist module so you can print things up. I like to have a handout that is the live stuff next to my desk where I am because I refer to it quite a bit. So if you're going to be joining us for any of the live content, you might want to print it up. So this tells you everything we're doing in the month. We've got that class Postmenopausal, Thriving Through the Next Chapter class on Wednesday the 16th. And then we've got those Thursday morning sessions where we'll be diving into more content. Those are 30 minutes in length. And then this is your checklist. So in here's every little piece you can do. Where you start, scratch out what you're not going to do. Oh, Luca, I'm not doing a cooking class on salads. I know how to make a salad. Great, don't do it. I'm only going to high five you. And then when you know, oh, I do want to check those Thursday morning sessions. Those are the food as medicine. Okay, I'm going to put this as number 1. Put number 1 here in the column to the left. I'm really going to want to make sure to do, oh, this is supposed to be liver. I'm really going to want to make sure to get the postmenopausal class. That's number 2. Those are the only 2 things I'm doing this month. I'm scratching everything else out. Good. Right on. Excellent. Or not. Doesn't matter. You've also got a worksheet for the month. And every time I do a live session, I actually get you to pull this out and I walk you through. When, for example, we're doing a session on, I just put it together today, we are talking about the liver's role in menopause. So I start with, these are the symptoms you would have if your liver is struggling as you move through perimenopause or into menopause. So you start to jot down those symptoms. And you jot them down up here because as you implement the to-do work, those symptoms should shift. And you'll know it's working because the symptoms will shift. So I help you be able to read the signs that your body's sending. And then at the end, there's always to-do items. And if they're food things, you put it down here. If they're lifestyle ideas, you put them down here. On this Thursday session, for example, the liver. I have skin eruptions. I haven't had acne, and now all of a sudden I've got acne. Okay, well, you're going to put that down here. At the end of the class, I talk about here are the foods that help your liver detox pathways. Dark leafy greens, onions and garlic and brassicas for the sulfur, and egg yolks. So you're going to put these 3 foods down here. Awesome. And so on and so forth. If it's a lifestyle idea where it's more, oh, I need to actually get rid of, well, one of the pieces I do talk about is to reduce the toxins in your life. And one of the things we'll talk about is to green up your cleaners. Okay, write down greening up my cleaners. Great. Put them in there. And then this is your 1-page cheat sheet that at the end of the month, you know that this is your to-do work in order to address the symptoms that you've listed up at the top that are tying into perimenopause and menopause. So those are the 3 that you can print up from here. You download right below the image of it, and then you print from your downloads folder. When you're done and you've printed them up, you have the option of clicking on Mark Completed. I encourage you to use that because when you do that, first of all, I know you're working through the stuff, but look, it says completed. Oh, I've already looked at this one. I don't need to go back in and look at it. That's correct. You can if you want, view, but you don't need to. Oh, I've already done this one. Correct. Now that whole slideshow I just took you through is in this whole section. So you're able to go through there if you want to learn more about it, revisit. There's a little bit more content in there and some of the more common symptoms are all listed there. If and when you have any questions about your network subscription, they'll all be found in here. And then we've got those 3 sections, pre-recorded, live sessions, and written content. We're going to start with the live sessions because I think those are the ones to really bang out of the park. This is where you'll get the most of use from the network this month. So these are the sessions we've got: the liver's role, histamine issues, why they ramp up in this transition, menopause and the impact on your brain, and the #1 cornerstone to ease your menopause. So all of these are going to be half an hour in length. What happens once we've done them, they get dropped in here. And the video is here. The replay is right in the module. You don't have to go find it anywhere else. The replays are listed here. And for the rest of the month, as the new one comes up, we bump it to the top. And then the older ones get pushed down below. But they're all kept there for the entirety of the month. So you're able to see them all. So that's the first one I think you should go to. The second one you may want to join us for is that live session, Post-Menopause, Thriving Through the Next Chapter. So this gives you a little bit about the class, what are our key goals that we'll be covering in the class, how to know if this is a class for you, and then what it is we're going to be covering. That really helps you get a deeper understanding of this. And then how to join. You just have to click on your session link. Once we're done, the replay link is going to be here. I haven't done the class yet, so it's not there. But once the live class happens, this is where you find it. And eventually you're going to get the handouts and recipes, because there always is with every class, and some extras for those who are looking for more content. Going back to your modules, there is a little button up here. You can just do that and it pops you back to your modules. So we just went through the 2 live sessions that we have, the 2 types of live sessions we have for the month. The next section I want to show you is the written stuff, because I tell you, this will take you 10 minutes to print things up and you can knock 3 things off of your to-do list if you want. We've got recipes every month. They happen to be the same recipes as the ones that go out in the recipe subscription service. So they went out this morning at 7 a.m. to everybody who's subscribed to my recipe subscription. We had the cauliflower tomato bean salad, curry sardine salad, chicken with apples and Brussels, chicken liver pate with blueberry jam, and a salted caramel mocha. There's only one that is not low histamine this month. The others are. So here you download to your computer and you print from your downloads folder. And once you've done that, you click on Mark Completed. Bing. And once you've done that, when you go back to my program and you look at all of those things, oh, look, I printed the recipes. I don't need to go back in. Excellent. We also have a weekly good food challenge. I used to do this on the socials to try to get people in the network, and then I stopped because social is dumb. I hate it. I'd rather do it where people actually find the content. You can't find my content unless you actively go looking for it. So too bad. So for example, this week, the challenge is to find wild caught fish. So I talk about why it's so important through this perimenopause and into menopause transition and post-menopause as well. There's 3 nutrients at every week and reasons why and how it helps for those who are interested in knowing. And then I always give you some ideas on how to work it in, from simple ideas to more complicated stuff. So these are to help people develop that cooking from the hip kind of idea. They're not really recipes, they're more quick how-to. So for example, the quick salmon salad. Mix a tin of wild salmon with mashed avocado, fresh herbs, and a squeeze of lemon. Serve over greens or in lettuce wraps or wrapped in a nori sheet for a no-fuss meal. I make that for lunch more often than I care to let you know. Yeah, it's so easy. Yeah. Yeah, it's high histamine, but there's other options if that won't sit well with you. And then every week, the earlier challenges get bumped to the bottom and the latest one gets stuck at the top. So it's a great, easy thing to add to your worksheet and go, wild caught fish. I need to eat that for menopause. Correct. When you're done, you click on Mark Completed. Although I update it once a week. So if you mark it complete this week and you don't go back the rest of the month, you'll miss the new stuff. So you can still access it just by clicking on View. Now, there's also a module on eating with the seasons, and I have a seasonal way to eat, and there's a whole reason why. There's a whole method to the madness. This video explains it, and you've got recipes and ways to think about eating in spring. So for those who are looking for more recipes, this will give you some more. But here you've got some recipes to get you started and a whole list of spring foods and why seasonal eating can be such a brilliant ally. So once you printed that stuff up, go ahead and click on Mark Completed. You don't have to, but you can. Now, I've shown you through the live sessions and the written content. For the bonus stuff, I've got content that I've built in the past that I now make available only in the Good Food Network. So there's a whole module on choosing to go sprouted or going paleo. So you can choose to watch that if you wish. It's part of a program I built in 2019 called Real Food Reset. I've got a full 3-hour class on the liver that on its own is $80, but when you join the network, you have access to this all month for $35. So if this is the only thing you want to do this month, that's a great idea. This will give you 6 months worth of work to do. Yeah. There's some really, really brilliant content in this class. So if you need some help with the liver, that's one of the pieces you may choose to prioritize this month. And then as a bonus, I've got a 90-minute cooking class that I did with my kiddo back at the start of the pandemic. And we did it for junior high kids, but everybody can cook this way. It's very delicious. Oh, she's so cute in this preamble. And then there's a whole session on building your own salads. And Eliza and I were in the kitchen at the height of the pandemic, right when everybody was in lockdown, when it was absolutely excruciatingly difficult, especially for our teenage kiddos. And this was how to remedy things for my kiddo, was to put together this cooking class. And we had such a fun time. And we had 72 people joining us across Canada, actually. We had one person from the US joining us as well. So anyway, recorded it. So that's now available too. So it's kind of a bonus piece. You don't have to do it, But it's a really nice 90-minute class. You sit and you make the food with us. You get the handouts and your recipes here, your grocery list and your recipe list. So you can come and join us. And if you've done it, go ahead and click on Mark Completed. So that's everything you need to know about the modules and the content you might wish to access once you're in the Good Food Network. I want to show you one last little thing. You're going to see up here, there's a little chat bubble and a little bell. The bell gives you notices when there's something to go look at. The chat is a chat where you can chat with the group of people who are in the network or chatting with me. There's another spot to access it though. Which one did I think is better? I think it's better up here. Yeah. So if you click on this chat bubble, or there's the chat here too, but I'll tell you the chat bubble I think is a little bit better. Yeah. The content is displayed a little bit better and there's a little bit more space given to it. Now, every time I drop something in the network, I put something in the chat. So if you're the person who's checking in once a week, start with the chat and see, all right, I was here a week ago. I come every Friday morning. What has gone on since the last week? So it's going to tell you 4 days ago, 5 days ago, 6 days ago, 7 days ago. Oh, okay, 8 days. Oh, yeah, I remember the raw carrots. Okay, so I've got raw carrots on my list. What have I missed? And then you can start to go through what you have potentially missed. So troubled sleep and menopause, that was the session we did last week. If you look at the comments in here, I'm going to give you, I don't usually give the replay link, but I did here because it was only going to be available for 3 days. I wanted to make sure people who need this, who join us in the month of April, will also get to access a whole session on what to do when sleep is tricky through menopause. So you'll be able to directly link and watch it there. Now, we've also, every Friday, I drop an article for anybody who's interested, usually based on questions from folks in the network. And because I figure other people probably want some of this stuff, you don't have to, but it's there. There's the food for the week. When I added and uploaded the new content this morning, then once it was there, I let everybody know it's ready so that you can go in and print things and get ready. So use this chat function. That's where you're going to be able to see what's going on in the network, what has come in since you were last there. It's also the spot where you can jot down any questions you've got. You've got two options. If you've got questions from the content you're watching, you can put it in the network. Everyone will see it who's in there. Or you can send me, I do this every month. I have a question about the Vitality Liver class, Luca. Here's my question. Why are you so funny? So that could be your question. And then as you hit it, then I get a message in my inbox and then I know to respond to you. So I will respond to you. Happens to be, I'm doing this after I've closed office for the day. So that's what you'll get if I'm not sitting at my desk. But I am sitting at my desk. I'm just not there. So anyway, that's what you'll get. So that's everything you need to know about the network. I want to show you one last little piece. If ever you're lost, I want to give you a little simple trick. This logo up top left is where you will get back to your homepage. And from the homepage, you've got access to the network. You've got access to your chat up here. You've also got access to your Zoom links for any of the live sessions. So they're all up here. I also send it in an email so you can receive that if you need it, so that you're easily able to join us for any of those live sessions. I'll tell you all those live sessions. I always start with the cameras and the microphones off, especially those Thursday morning ones. They're 3 p.m. my time, but 7 a.m. your time. Because it's early morning. No one necessarily wants to be on camera at that time of day. So when it's time to join a session, all you have to do is click on the little camera icon. That takes you to the Zoom room. It's very direct, very slick, very easy. And if you're not sure where the link to log in is to get into the network, you'll find it on every page of my website, lucasimmons.com. And you get a link to it when you first register in the network. So save that email, bookmark, so that you'll know where you can log in to access the Good Food Network. And come and join us in the Good Food Network, pal. We've got so many good things. We're waiting for you. And I look forward to crossing paths with you and helping you have an easier time through transitioning, or helping address what it is that's asking for support when the struggle through the perimenopause transition into postmenopause is having a hard time. We make it delicious. Food can be a brilliant ally. It's not the only piece that I think can help, but it is an under celebrated ally in helping us be strong and resilient into part 2 of our life. If you're ready to do a strong, resilient entry into step 2, part 2 of your life, come and join us in the Good Food Network. If you have any questions, I've dropped links below. You can find a direct link to register or a direct link to book in for a 30-minute chat with me. If you have any questions, we'll answer them all and we'll get you set up. Use the link that works best for you. I look forward to seeing you in the Good Food Network, and we'll see you again. Salut, à bientôt.